And welcome to Show Up, Stand Out, online visibility series for entrepreneurs. My name is Juliet Stapleton and I'm a visibility strategist. And I'm delighted today to introduce you to Cory Warfield all the way from Chicago. And we're going to talk some serious strategies. Hi, Cory.
Hi, Juliet. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Thank you so much. And thank you for being on my show today. Let me start with asking you to introduce yourself and tell us about your background and who the hell is Cory Warfield?
Well, I want to start by saying thank you so much for having me. Briefly, I spent 20 years of my life in the hospitality industry, mostly in restaurants, and I split my time almost evenly between being a waiter, a sommelier, and a corporate restaurant manager. So about 7 years ago, I helped open a prime steakhouse here in Chicago, and we were fantastic. We had Michael Jordan, Bill Clinton, and all kinds of great people come into my private dining rooms, and I probably would have stayed there forever. The money was fantastic, but we got bought by a big company, and the first thing they did was find ways to make more money. So the portions all got a little smaller, the prices on them all went up, and they started looking at some of our back office solutions, and they saw that we were using this employee scheduling software that was truthfully very expensive, but we needed it. So they said, we're getting rid of this. We said, well, we can't live without it. So we kind of had a meeting, and we said, well, let's offer to pay for it. It was going to be like $20 a month out of each of our paychecks. We said, well, this is fine. We'll pay for it. So we brought that solution to them, and they basically said they were not interested because it was less about the money and more about their balance sheets. They didn't want to show that expense to the company. They didn't want to show, that they were spending money anywhere they didn't have to. And so they said that they wouldn't honor that. So I started looking for some cheaper solutions that could work. I couldn't find a thing on the market. We tried to do like Google Sheets and Facebook pages. It didn't work at all. So I decided to start my own company 2 years ago. So that was kind of the beginning of this next chapter of my life. It's what got me out of the restaurant industry. And so now we're having a lot of fun. We had 1,100 businesses sign up for my software last year. We saved our users over $500,000 and over 200,000 hours. But when you're in restaurants, you don't need a social strategy. You don't need a online persona. You don't need to know how to contact people or connect with them because they go to Open Table, they make a reservation. If they show up, you tell them about the specials, and this is the nature of your relationship. You don't have to do anything. So it's been very interesting in this 2 years now, learning SEO and different growth strategies and how to leverage social media. So I'm really excited to talk with you, hear some of your strategies, and to share some of mine as well.
Brilliant. Well, this interesting thing is that normally, or so it happens that a lot of guests on my show are people who provide coaching services, with this, that, or the other, whereas your solution is software. So in a way, how it's a different way that you portray yourself, and also it's a different target market for your clients. So where I'm targeting people who are building their personal brand and they are the face of their business, so I'm teaching them how to show up authentically themselves. And now I meet you, and you have a software company, and yet what you're doing is showing up, even though it's less on Facebook but more on LinkedIn, and you're showing up and you're doing pretty much what I'm teaching people to do on Facebook. And this is very interesting. So on Facebook, we were talking a little bit with Cory before the show, and we were talking about the differences between these two platforms. And, why would is it easier or harder to get clients on either of these platforms? And we came to a conclusion that really it does depend on your target market and what you're actually offering and who you are trying to reach, whether these people are there as themselves, or if it's a company, then it's much more complicated to get to a person that you really need, and much easier on LinkedIn than on Facebook anyway, and let's be honest. However, you do need to build up your position. You need to build up your reputation so people take you seriously, because, people judge other people, whoever they are, in every situation by the cover. And our presence, our visibility is the cover that we're judged, so that's very simple. So tell me, on LinkedIn, for example, let's talk about that. What is your strategy? What are the things that are helping you, or how did you build in the 2 years your visibility?
So that's what I'm so excited to talk about. And then I'm excited to circle back, but I think I figured out, I don't want to say I've cracked the code because it's so simple. It's just common sense, but I think I figured out by doing things wrong. And I think I've now kind of at least for myself and my use case, I think I've really figured it out. So I identified an influencer about a year ago when we were first going live on the app stores and on the web with all of the versions of my software. I found an influencer, and she's a CEO of a company that does hospitality HR. And I saw that she had some really big clients that I really wanted to be clients of mine as well. So I reached out to her and I basically said, we have the shift scheduling software. We're going to save companies a lot of time and money. Back then we were completely free. So I said, we can erase that expense from their balance sheet. And we're really excited about this momentum that we have. And I would love for you to kind of help leverage your network, and we'll offer you some type of affiliate deal. We'll pay you effectively. And her response was classic. She said, "Oh, I'm building an authentic brand. I don't do anything like that. No one can buy. If you hear me recommend something, it's because I truly believe in it, and I'm never taking a penny from it. And I don't do this." And that was kind of her very, very curt response. And it does illustrate a difference between Facebook and LinkedIn. I couldn't have ever even contacted her on Facebook, but on LinkedIn, we had become LinkedIn connections, so I was able to send her a direct message, and I really respected her answer. As someone that's looking to leverage an influencer, you don't want someone that your competitor can pay more money, and next thing you know, they say, well, I know I was saying this one was great, but this one's even better. And you go, oh man, I wish I could have afforded to stay on their radar, or whatever the case may be. So I didn't take it as offensive. I took it as an opportunity. I said, I'm going to get this influencer. And so I completely backed up. I didn't message her again for almost a year. But what I started to do on LinkedIn is every time she posted a video or a post, I would like it. Sometimes I would add a little comment. If she was putting 3 bullet points of some 3 good ideas, I might add 2 more and say, those are the best 3. But if you ever want to do a top 5, here are the other 2 I think belong on here. And over the course of the months, she just started to get to know me as someone that was promoting her. She has a book coming out, so I would just put links on LinkedIn to her book and say, this is one of my favorite personalities. She's going to change your life if you follow her on LinkedIn, and this is her book. Well, after many months of that, and just really, I decided to be one of her employees that she didn't have to pay. She didn't have to hire me. There was no HR, no onboarding, but I decided I was going to provide value to her brand. And it was, I didn't necessarily even know how much it would come back to me, but I just felt it was the right thing to do. And it was a different approach to get to the same influencer. I said, I'm not going to get 3 chances with this gal. So I know I might get a second chance, and I really need to rethink my strategy. So after many months, she started reaching out to me on LinkedIn and said, oh, Cory, thank you so much for all the support. And I really like this response that you had the other day. Well, just a couple months ago, and this kind of gets back to your thing, she said, Cory, I get buried in LinkedIn messages. I get thousands of LinkedIn messages a day. Do you mind if I add you on Facebook? I said, well, yeah. So now we're Facebook friends, and now I get to see her kids. She gets to see my band when we post new songs. And now we've kind of become realer friends. Turns out she's also in Chicago, and her husband's a franchisee of a large company that we want as clients. Well, fast forward, she's giving me free copies of her book. She's the one that put me on to starting to do podcasts. She's starting to refer us out to her clients. One of our big competitors just offered her a pretty big deal. She's passing on because she doesn't want to take most of her attention away from myself and Shedwool. We may end up going to the National Restaurant Association show together, and she's trying to get her husband's company to use our platform, and we would do almost roughly $100,000 a year off of them in revenues, which is phenomenal. And I've told her, if you can make that happen, I'll make it worth your while. And she kind of laughed on, this is through typing, but she kind of said, no, Cory, remember, I don't do that. She said, I'm doing this because I believe in you as a personality. I believe in you as an entrepreneur. I believe in your company. I think it's one of the best out there, and I'm happy to promote you. So I think kind of that strategy of visibility of just how can we provide value to these influencers? She's got 100,000 people following her. I've got a couple thousand. I want her network, but she had nothing to gain. She didn't want the couple dollars she could have gotten from us, but she did. She absolutely saw when I started telling my 2,000, 3,000 connections to follow this lady. And every time I do it, 50, 100 people start following her, reach out. It really became evident that I was in this not only for myself, but what could I do for her? And that approach I've now started to take with other people as well. Damon John is one of the sharks on Shark Tank. I'm a fan of his. I actually pitched him live a few months ago in Houston, but he had a book come out, and I used the same strategy with him, and I became an online brand ambassador for his book. And now the other day he called me and we talked, and his book's the #1 New York Times bestseller. And it's not because of my efforts, but collectively as ambassadors, and we were the ones that were resourceful enough to reach out and offer to add value. All of a sudden, I now have 3 employees that I've hired from that group. I have some more outreach coming. So at least through the LinkedIn platform, and I love your strategy. I think if you can take it from LinkedIn to Facebook, you've just leveled up that relationship, right? Because Facebook is so much more personal.
Yes, definitely. And you know what's interesting listening to you, and it's the same on Facebook, approaching influencers. Well, influencers, imagine how long you have to work and how hard. Maybe sometimes it's a fast journey for them, but it still takes a lot of guts, a lot of time, a lot of sometimes luck, and they come to that place where they're very protective of what they've had to come through. So when they're getting, and I'm sure that they're bombarded every day by loads of people who don't respect that journey. And, so you'll have one authentic person, and then you have so many people who are literally just trying to use you, and they don't even think that, you know what, maybe I can give you something. Now, I mean, your journey with this particular lady was a very long one, but it all depends on what's at stake. She was someone who could really benefit to have on board for your company's progress, right? And the referrals and everything. So it's absolutely worth it. And that same approach applies to Facebook, because we were talking as well earlier about our connections, and Cory was saying to me that he has a lot of friends and family. I have in my network probably 95% entrepreneurs friends all over the world. So it's not really a personal profile as a personal profile. I prefer a phone if I want to ring my family. And it's the funny thing as well, when I talk about family and the new Facebook announcement that, it's all about family and friends and in-depth discussions, which I never had with any of my family or friends on Facebook. I only have them with my entrepreneurial friends. So I always laugh at this. But if you're like me and you have a lot of strangers basically in your network, it still takes a little bit more effort from you to reach out, to talk to people, because a lot of people are very apprehensive about these contacts, especially on Facebook, because it's not as LinkedIn so business-like. There's just too much noise, and that's something but I loved the example. You can definitely take it and bring it into Facebook, or you can do it Cory style, and you can go on LinkedIn and build that relationship on LinkedIn and then move it to Facebook. That was very smart. So yes, I enjoyed that. Let's talk a little bit about content. Facebook is changing now, and on Facebook, it's now a pain for all of us to think about except for those discussions and meaningful relationships that we're creating. Everything else, links, GIFs, pictures, even pre-recorded videos, everything is kind of going down. And in each country, it's going to be sooner or later. Some countries see it now, some countries haven't seen it yet, but it's going to happen. So it creates a big problem, where on LinkedIn, you don't have that problem at the moment at all.
Yeah, there are a couple parameters on LinkedIn. I think you're limited to 5,000 characters. They have certain other kind of limitations that you just learn, and I think they're actually there to enhance the user experience. But it's bizarre. I have, for my company Shedwell, we have our Facebook business page, and I think I don't know how to change this. I think we have 500 people that like us on there, and I think it's been about that number for many months. And Juliet, I'll post something on our Facebook page, and it'll be completely value add. It'll be ways to save time or money, or, and I'll go on 3 days later and they'll say your reach. This post has been seen by 7 people or something. I'm thinking like, okay, I only have 500 people, but how have only 7 people seen this post? That's like 2 people a day.
Well, that's exactly what Facebook is trying to prevent now, is for brands to dominate the feed, because it is friends kind of network, and that's where my Fearless Client Attraction system is using your personal profile to attract and connect, and then bringing them into the group. Whereas page right now, if you're prepared to advertise, you can do amazing things with the business page, because that's the only place where you can advertise. For example, For example, you can run an event, collect people's emails addresses, or even bring them to messenger bots so you have that connection. And then you can retarget them with your ads from your Facebook page, so, and that is powerful. If you're doing a launch, that's powerful. But as if you're organically, you have a page and it's sitting there and you're not putting any money into it, of course, just just give up. Just give up, guys. It's not there for organic reach, really. But then maybe have a look at if you are that kind of business that personally, it has to be a business page or a business front. Definitely LinkedIn is one of those networks that you have to explore. And Cory is a good example showing how it can work. It's not as bad and square as you think it is.
Although, kind of to circle back to your strategies in Facebook, I have, I lost $100,000 investment because I did a Facebook Live from somewhere that was slightly political. This was, just over a year ago probably, and I probably shouldn't have done it. The next morning, I basically got a very short message saying that they saw me go Facebook Live and that we had some fundamental differences of opinion. And so I learned my lesson. It turns out I probably didn't need them on my board or my cap table. And so we all move on and we can be friends. I really am I'm a very love-oriented person, so I don't judge people for how they feel about things. But people that take something or something else so seriously, there may be a misalignment of synergy. However, what I've always done on Facebook, I always just put little things about my life so people know what I'm up to if they care, and I always just put out some feel good, whether it's a quote or if it's I hope you all have a beautiful day, something like that. Sometimes a picture. And I just recently had a good friend of mine from college, and we've been in touch over the years. I haven't seen him in probably 15 years, though. And he reached out to me on Facebook with a message just the other day. He said, "Hey, Cory, we should get together soon. I'd like to talk to you about investing in your company and introduce you to others like-minded. Also send me some of your band's music. I'd love to hear some more stuff." I didn't know he knew I was in a band. I didn't know that he was an investor. I didn't know that we were on their radar. So he and I are going to meet this weekend. He's got one of these bad flus that's going around, but as soon as he feels better, if it's this weekend or Monday or Tuesday, we'll get together. We'll see what level of interest he has in investment. And it's less about that and more about seeing an old friend. But that's what Facebook is amazing. People that you don't even realize are paying attention know everything about you. And, there are times I'll be at a grocery store. I'll see someone I wouldn't have recognized them. They're from 20 years ago. I graduated high school in 1996, but because we're on Facebook, I know how they look now. I'll say, "Oh my God,
yes.
you're Dana." And, "Oh my God, your kid was just over in Asia, right, for a semester. How is that?" And the fact that I can keep up on so many old friends on Facebook, to me, that's the beautiful thing. And to have someone reach out and say they want to invest in my company because they've seen the progress is definitely validation that Facebook has, it hasn't lost its mojo. I think they're reinventing themselves, but I think for that use case, especially kind of just peripherally keeping up on people and knowing what people are up to and being able to share some of your life, I think is amazing. And I've watched some of your stuff. I really like your approach, to being, visibility really on Facebook specifically. And I think that authenticity, Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about it, but I really think on LinkedIn, people are definitely presenting themselves as though they're the job interview. On Facebook, it's like, I think
what you see is what you get. I love that. Yeah. We were just talking earlier. I was saying I can't even go and I just don't feel myself on LinkedIn because it feels like you have to wear a suit and, or something and just have a corporate picture. And it's just so not me. I can't fake, so I refuse this, and it's okay. And then, sometimes I say, shall I just go on LinkedIn and just to piss everybody off, just go and do my, personal kind of videos about how to be confident in video or things like that, and see how I get on with this, who knows? But you know what, guys, you need to try these mad things, these mad ideas that you get. You just go ahead and do it, and then you'll know, like the way the story you just told us about, kind of stalking that influencer lady. worked out well at the end. That was good. So one more question I have for you though, Cory, before we finish. We mentioned an SEO, how SEO is important on social media because people think SEO Google ranking, and they never think about SEO when it comes to social networks and what you're posting. And for those guys who don't know what SEO is, search engine optimization, and Facebook is now almost, it's like a competitor to Google. We are searching for a lot of things. Same on LinkedIn. There's a lot of, so when you're thinking about searches, everything that you're setting up, I always teach that in my course. You're setting up a group. Forget about fancy name. You make sure that there's keywords and as close to start as possible, because that's how you get found.
Yeah, you're creating metadata, you're creating backlinks, you're creating kind of, Google's rank brain is literally analyzing and scrutinizing so much data to see what's relevant. And there's no better way to find out what's relevant to what demographic and target market than Facebook.
That's true.
Really, not only is there not, there probably never will be. I mean, Facebook has so many data points.
Exactly. And that's, we, in my digital marketing agency, we run Google Ads, and how much data you get, and you can target people by interest. You can target people by so much more than just location and their whatever, Google is not at the races, basically, with what Facebook has. Now, I'm not sure how much information LinkedIn collects, but I'm sure that any social network has more information like that, like what's the interest. And I liked this idea. Cory, was it on the show or off the show that we were talking how amazing would it be if networks had this shared data, that their news feed would be populated. If you are, for example, if you are a big Instagrammer and you're also on Facebook, that Facebook would show you more images because that's what you like. Or if you're active on LinkedIn, then Facebook would show you links and brand pages because that's what you're like. We don't know. This is just our little.
Well, that was before the show when we were just chatting, but I think that would be brilliant. And I do want you, it's not premeditated, but in our last 2 minutes, I want to give a quick shout out to an Estonian company that I think could help. They do help and will continue to help me and you and maybe some of your listeners as well. They do what you do. They're a digital social marketing or a digital marketing agency, but they basically retarget everything on every platform, see what's performing best, and double down on it. And only because the Estonian tech companies are clearly the best in the world, and because that's where you are originally from in Estonia. Right. I'm going to give them a small shout out.
Thank you. What is the name of the company?
The name of the company is Frank.ai. They call themselves an automated marketing genius.
Brilliant. When I'm actually moving back to Estonia, probably because Estonia is so awesome these days, I'm going to hook up with those guys.
Well, and we were to take the conversation very quickly in a different direction. You said that in Ireland, there's not a whole lot of delicious food. You're not the first person I've heard say that, but I have heard that the food in Estonia will blow your mind. Well,
I was there 2 years ago, and I can tell you, Estonian food is not far off Irish. In general, it's like cabbage with bacon and things like that, But what Estonian people are so good at is they want to grow. They constantly want to grow, and they are technically so good at, not imitating, it's not a good word, but how would I even put it? They take something and they can
emulating.
Yeah. So let's say if it's a musician, not necessarily they're going to write a guitar solo that will blow your mind, but they can take another guitar solo that blew somebody, millions minds, and play it exactly the same way. And this is what I've noticed. And also what's really, really good about Estonian people, they're so, they seem to be really getting back into connection with their environment. So there's so many restaurants there and a new culture where people are using the locally sourced produce, and being north, very, very north in a way, there's not that much, not like fertile land or anything. So they're using things that are growing, by the sea or in the swamps, like little berries. And I just think that this is fantastic. And whether you like that or not, that food, if that's your thing or not, that's a different story. But I'm here in Ireland. I'm not in Dublin right now. I am in a smaller place, and we have 4 restaurants or 5 restaurants around that I don't go to because I'm so sick and tired and they're just not way below my standards, right? So if I was was in Tallinn right now, there would be probably 400 restaurants and coffee shops and everything I could go. And every time I would have good experience. And that's for me, it's big, big, big plus. So yes, guys, you have to come to Estonia. If weekend place is like Tallinn is the weekend destination, definitely go and visit it. That's now that we've stopped promoting Estonia on our show. We're going to wrap up. I am so delighted we had this conversation, and there's so much things to take away from here. I think one of them that if you are using LinkedIn or not, but if you are using LinkedIn, try this approach where you're giving value, actually on Facebook as well. Wherever you are, wherever you're reaching out to people, especially if they are way above you, don't try and give rather than ask or take. They've no time for you to pick their brain. Why? If you want to hire them, that's a different story. But if you're giving something and you're giving it constantly, it could be messages. It could be comments, which we should be in Facebook right now. We need to train ourselves to stop liking that much and commenting with big fat paragraphs. That's how the more active you are, the more it comes back to you. And if it comes back to you in the shape of more Facebook juice, like you just get more stuff that people see you and, you see them. So that's all visibility exercise, but it works. But it can also have a different, just simple personal reward as you get visible to people that could be very valuable in your life. So I loved that approach. And it's very authentic. It's extremely authentic. I said stalking, but I didn't really mean it. I was just joking.
And in our conversation, you have put the wind back in my sails for Facebook. I'm going to go on and engage more because I love Facebook and I definitely don't want to see it fall to the wayside in my life by any means. Although I know we're getting short on time, but I will say, a couple practices that I've started to implement that I love are trying not to look at Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or any of these the first half hour, the last half hour of my day. People get these dopamine hits from it.
Thank you for this. Yes.
Scientifically, they say, rather than you wake up and you look to see how many likes you had on Facebook yesterday, that's fine. Wait a half an hour, take a couple deep breaths, pet your dog, do what you want to do, and then start to engage for your day. And for me personally and energetically, that's been a transformational and progressive, even formative evolution for me.
I agree 100% because on those days when I get up and the first thing I do is I look at my phone and see what's the notifications, it's like it ruins the whole day. Honestly, I'm not even exaggerating. I just know energetically It's the wrong thing to do. Get up, exercise, meditate, do whatever you want, whatever your mindfulness thing is for the first half an hour. It's such a good advice. And then in the evening is the same. I have just released a course there on, overwhelm on Facebook. And one of the modules is about this overwhelm from distractions. I have my phone goes on silent at 7 o'clock at night and it doesn't go back till 10 o'clock in the morning because I don't want to be distracted. This is the time for me and I leave it away and I don't have even emails or, I did little numbers, nothing that can interfere with my brain because it does. And what it does to you is really destroying that peace that you have. And we need that. We need to recharge after all. The technology is great on one hand, but it's very bad for us on the other hand, isn't it? It kind of deconstructs us.
It is. I'm actually on the board of a company called Social Media Dependency. We've started a global foundation called the Global Touch Foundation. And it's kind of just to bring awareness to the fact that social media is amazing, but any addiction is something that needs to be overcome. And a lot of people really do. They get their dopamine hits from it. And it's less about you and I trying to use social media to advance our life and to help other people. And it's more just about knowing if people think you're cute, or something. It's
of course. Yeah. It's not an egotistic thing at all. It really is it's like a platform where you're building a business so you can have a better life and you can help more people have a better life. That's all it's all about, really. It's simple. So yeah, that's so true. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up. The takeaways again, the last takeaway we can take from the last bit that we said is that be visible, be authentic, but know your measure as well. Be visible when you need to be and then relax and remember about your own life as well. Because if you have your own life nice and, you know, you love yourself, you spend time with yourself, then everything else aligns. All the social media and everything will bring the results you want. Cory, thank you so much for joining me.
Likewise, I love your comment. Thanks for doing what you do, and I hope to stay in touch.
Definitely. And guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.